Hey folks, welcome to another day, another unboxing. What I've got here is Nokia's 8V 5G UW. Yeah, that's a mouthful. This is the Verizon version of the Nokia 8.3 5G that was announced originally around Mobile World Congress and finally released recently here in the US for Verizon. So there it is. This is the box. I've got some stuff on the sides here, some text here, some details here. Here's more information for you. I'll leave it up. And then, of course, there's an IMEI at the bottom. Before we start, though, I have something very special I'm going to show you before this video ends. And it's related to this phone, so stay tuned. This is the good part. All right, here we go. Dun, dun, dun. Nothing in here. This is the phone. This is a divider with a SIM removal tool. This is some paperwork. Get started with Nokia in Spanish as well. So let me actually open this up so we can have a look and see what it looks like. Ta-da, here we go. Let me get a little closer. So this is the first panel and this is the next panel. There we go. And then there is a consumer safety stuff and more safety stuff. So we don't really care about that. Next up, we got another box. And I bet you that's the charger and all the good stuff. Charger, cord, no earbuds in here. So here we go. Not sure exactly what the wattage is on this, but I'll leave it up and I'll show you once I figure it out. All right, so USB type A to type C cable, obviously. You can see the type C connector in there, the type A connector in here. It's pretty standard fare stuff. So that's it for the box, right? So let's have a look at the phone now. As you can see, there's a dedicated Google Assistant button, like a lot of Nokia phones. Press to talk to Assistant. And I think there's an IMEI sticker on the back. So let's see if I can pull this out like this. And here's the front of the phone. Let me turn it on. And while it's firing up, I'm going to remove that IMEI sticker in the back. Here we go. All right, now you can see the back. Ta-da, Nokia. Stupid Verizon tramp stamp 5G logo here. Camera pod. And here's the front. As you can see, this is a beautiful screen with a really massive chin. So we know it's an IPS panel right away. So let's actually look at some of those specs. This is a 6.81-inch 1080p IPS LCD. It has a 20:9 aspect ratio. It is a 60 Hertz display. There's no 90 or 120 Hertz going on here. This is a Snapdragon 765G with 6 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs of storage plus micro SD. 64 gigs is not a lot of storage space, but the micro SD should help. The battery is a 4,500 milliamp hour battery. It is 18 watt fast charging. And well, if you want to call that fast charging, it supports 18 watt. Let's have a look at the cameras. So the front facing camera here is a 24 megapixel f/2.0 0.9 micron sensor with Zeiss lens, which is nice. 1080p 30 frames per second video recording. There's an earpiece here as well, like right there. And then again, that chin, wow. It is a massive, massive. Then in the back, you got 4 cameras. So let's talk about these. You've got a 64 megapixel main sensor f/1.8 with 0.8 micron pixels and face detect autofocus. Strangely, no OIS. Of course, this has Zeiss optics as well. There's a 12 megapixel ultra-wide f/2.2 with 1.4 micron pixels and autofocus. That's actually pretty interesting that they have autofocus on the ultra-wide and that it has large pixels like that. Obviously, the 64 megapixel main sensor pixel bin is 4:1, so it combines those 0.8 micron pixels into 1.6 microns. Still, interesting that the ultra-wide has some good specs. 2 megapixel macro, no detail on whether it has autofocus. And of course, a 2 megapixel depth sensor, pretty common these days on these phones. You know, I call them sticker cameras because basically they might as well be stickers. They're just there for camera count, basically. You can see there is a dual LED flash here on the back. And Nokia logo, as I mentioned before. So this is an IPS panel. So where is the fingerprint sensor? Well, it's not in display. So it's on the edge right here on the power lock key, which is a really good place for it, I think. Next to the volume rocker here on the right-hand side and the SIM slot, micro SD slot right here. So those three things live side by side. Then on the bottom you have a headphone jack, primary microphone, USB Type-C port, and a speaker. Now I'm not sure if this has stereo speakers, I'll let you know. On the right-hand side here you have that Google Assistant button I mentioned earlier, and on top you have a secondary microphone. Now this feels very fingerprint happy, as you can see already. Poof, it's kind of a little unfortunate, I think, but hey, I'm not sure if this is plastic or glass. Mid-frame looks and feels like some sort of composite plastic, like a Kevlar to me, but the back might actually be glass, hard to tell. So this is a Verizon phone here in the US, which means it has millimeter wave 5G in addition to sub-6 5G for Verizon's new network. So that's actually pretty exciting if you're a Verizon customer. The price on this phone is $700 US, $699, which is, I think, a lot of money for a Snapdragon 765G phone with a IPS panel that's only 60 Hertz. So that's my initial kind of gut feeling, especially 64 gigabytes of storage and no OIS. So I'm not sure what they were thinking there in terms of pricing. I think you're better off buying a Pixel 5 at this point that costs the same amount of money, but gives you all the Pixel goodness in terms of imaging and particularly things like OIS and an OLED display and 90 Hertz and more RAM, more base storage. So, that's kind of my gut feeling right now, but hey. And before we go, I promised you something special. And I have here something that was in the press kit, which is an exploded view of this phone. It's very, very cool. So let's go through that, shall we? We've got these acrylic panels. The first one has a display on it. There's some text here, so I'm gonna leave it up like this so you can read it. And it's talking about the pure display with Pixelworks. And then here's the back of the display. Then we have the mid-frame right here. That's what we talk about when we talk about the mid-frame. And then as you can see here, there's more text. Nokia inside and out. And there you can see the back of the mid-frame. Then we have the actual circuit board and battery. And it says here, Qualcomm Performance. So there's your battery, all the chips, and the other circuit boards. That's what it looks like in the back. It's pretty cool. Then we have the camera modules and the millimeter wave antennas. So this says Verizon 5G and Zeiss optics. So here are the back of the cameras. There's a front-facing camera, and then the 4 rear cameras here. Then you can see the millimeter wave antennas on the sides here. Very interesting. And then we have the final one, which is the back panel, Finnish design, because HMD Global, the owners of Nokia brand, are a Finnish company. And there you go, you can see the inside and outside of the back panel. So this is pretty cool, and I wanted to share it with you because it's not every day you get such cool swag when you do an unboxing, right? So anyway, that's it. That's the Nokia 8V 5G UW, poof, that name, for Verizon. It's basically a US version of the Nokia 8.3 5G. So like, subscribe, tell your friends, click the notification bell below, comment below, tell me, would you buy this phone? Would you, because you like Nokia maybe, you have that nostalgia for the Nokia brand, would you consider getting this phone in the US, locked to this carrier, for whatever reason? I'd like to know. And remember the podcast, mobiletechpodcast.com. We're on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, and Spotify. So please check us out and subscribe, right? I'll have my thoughts on the show this week about this phone. So please listen and stay tuned. I'll have more videos soon. Cheers, everybody.